Star Trek hints Riker didn't become great until he grew a beard. Star Trek Lower Decks just hinted that Commander William Riker, Jonathan Frakes, didn't become a great character until he grew a beard. Lower Decks Season 5 kicked off with a season opener that found the USS Cerritos face-to-face, or nacelle-to-nacelle, with a duplicate ship from an alternate universe. As the Prime Cerritos crew members worked to find a way back to their own universe, they paired up with their doppelgangers. This scenario provided Lower Decks with the perfect opportunity to dive deeper into its characters and explore what makes them tick. LT Brad Boimler, Jack Quaid, has always been insecure about his place in Starfleet, and encountering his much more confident duplicate certainly didn't help matters. Boimler's alternate universe counterpart made the cover of Starfleet's 30 Under 30 magazine, and he regularly takes over command of his USS Cerritos from Captain Becky Freeman, Tawny Newsome. But the most obvious physical difference between the two is that duplicate Boimler sports a strong beard and mustache combo that bears a striking resemblance to Commander Riker's. Riker became a better Star Trek TNG character after growing his beard. Star Trek fans have often joked that Star Trek: The Next Generation did not truly become good until Commander Riker grew a beard. This argument makes perfect sense, as the only season that features a beardless Riker is TNG Season 1, which is generally considered to be the show's weakest season. But Riker also greatly improved as a character after he grew a beard. In Star Trek: The Next Generation Season 1, many of the show's characters were still figuring themselves out, Riker included. The Riker of TNG Season 1 is by the book and lacks the more fun personality that the character would later develop. Riker's beard was actually a happy accident. Jonathan Frakes had grown out his facial hair during the break between Star Trek: The Next Generation Seasons 1 and 2, and Gene Roddenberry liked his new nautical look. Commander Riker kept the beard throughout the rest of TNG's 7 seasons and all but one film, and it's the character's most recognized look even today. Boimler's bearded Star Trek Lower Decks duplicate radiates the same easy confidence as bearded Riker, leading Prime Universe Boimler to attempt to grow a beard himself. Why Boimler with a beard on Star Trek Lower Decks makes sense. LT Brad Boimler and Commander Will Riker have several things in common, and the beard connection between the two characters makes perfect sense. Not only does Boimler look up to Riker, but he briefly served under Captain Riker on the USS Titan in Star Trek Lower Decks Season 2. However, Boimler quickly found the Titan's often dangerous mission to be a little bit too intense for his tastes, and he transferred back to the Cerritos. Interestingly, the Titan still had a Boimler aboard after a transporter accident resulted in a clone who chose to go by William Boimler. Back in Star Trek: The Next Generation Season 6, Commander Riker also discovered he had a transporter clone. This clone chose to go by Thomas Riker and ended up joining the rebel group known as the Maquis in much the same way William Boimler joined Section 31. With Boimler's newest duplicate, Star Trek Lower Decks continues to point out the character's similarities to Riker, even giving duplicate Boimler his own version of the Riker maneuver when he rises from his chair. In the universe of Star Trek: The Next Generation, there are few characters as iconic as Commander William T. Riker, played by Jonathan Frakes. Riker's journey on the Enterprise D represents one of the most significant character evolutions in the series, with one seemingly superficial change making all the difference: the growth of his beard. Over the years, fans and even the cast themselves have lovingly referred to the phenomenon as Beard Riker, a shorthand for the moment when the character truly came into his own. The beard became more than just facial hair. It became a turning point, a visual cue that Riker had matured into the role of a confident and capable officer. In many ways, the beard signifies the moment Riker ascended from a good officer to a great one. When Riker first appeared in Star Trek: The Next Generation during its debut season in 1987, he was clean-shaven. His initial portrayal was of a by-the-books officer, an ambitious first officer under Captain Jean-Luc Picard, eager to one day captain his own ship. While Riker's competency and potential were never in question, there was a sense that he was somewhat stiff and at times overly formal. The character had the right ingredients: charm, intelligence, and leadership potential. Yet, something was missing. He was likable but didn't yet feel fully formed. The first season of The Next Generation was famously uneven, with many characters not quite reaching their potential. Riker, too, suffered from this early season growing pain. While he was always capable and efficient, there was a certain spark missing, a distinctiveness that would set him apart. Without it, he was at risk of being overshadowed by his captain and the other members of the Enterprise crew. In a way, Riker without the beard was like a ship missing its defining mission. This all changed in the second season when Riker returned with a beard. This wasn't just a superficial update, but a bold new look that seemed to signify a deeper transformation within the character. Fans immediately noticed the difference, coining the phrase the Riker maneuver not just for his tactical abilities, but for the way he suddenly seemed to command the screen with more authority and presence. With a beard, Riker exuded a new sense of confidence. His interactions with his crewmates became more relaxed yet self-assured. He no longer appeared as a rigid figure trying to meet expectations, but rather as someone who had embraced his own leadership style. This change wasn't just felt by the audience. Jonathan Frakes himself has spoken in interviews about how the beard helped him feel more comfortable in the role. The clean-shaven Riker was always striving, always trying to live up to the legendary Picard standards. But once he grew the beard, Frakes, and by extension, Riker seemed to settle into himself. The beard became a metaphor for growth, suggesting that Riker had reached a level of self-acceptance that allowed him to stop chasing validation and start becoming his own man. The difference in Riker's demeanor became more pronounced as the series progressed. With the beard, he displayed a sense of humor and playfulness that had been largely absent in the first season. His flirtatious nature, particularly in his interactions with Counselor Deanna Troi, felt more natural. He also began to demonstrate a deeper understanding of leadership, often pushing back against Picard in ways that made the captain respect him even more. The once ambitious officer striving for his own command had grown into a man who could stand on equal footing with one of Starfleet's finest. This is exemplified in one of Riker's defining episodes, The Best of Both Worlds. By this time, Riker had been offered his own command on several occasions, but had declined each time. Before the beard, this might have been seen as indecisiveness or fear of stepping out of Picard's shadow. But Beard Riker understood something more profound. Leadership isn't just about commanding a ship, but knowing when you're where you're meant to be. When Picard is captured and assimilated by the Borg, Riker steps into the captain's role without hesitation, leading the Enterprise through one of its most dangerous confrontations. His ability to remain calm under pressure, make difficult decisions, and inspire his crew during a time of crisis speaks to the growth he's undergone since the first season. The beard became such an iconic part of Riker's identity that its presence or absence would later serve as a symbolic shorthand in Star Trek storytelling. In the film Star Trek Nemesis, for example, Riker is finally given command of the USS Titan, a culmination of his long-awaited career ambitions. Notably, he still has the beard, signaling that he has carried this growth with him. In the alternate universe of Star Trek Insurrection, Riker shaves off the beard during a lighter moment in the film, and the act feels almost like a regression, a temporary return to his younger, less self-assured self. But by the end of the film, the beard is back. In conclusion, Riker's beard isn't just an amusing fandom footnote or a quirky character trait.